Hello everyone, my name is Ryan Cam, and my timing skills on display yet again. I had promised a Spider-Man No Way Home spoiler video last year, which never materialized. Stock excuses of I got busy, but I got busy. But I'm going to rectify the situation with this video, and I'm not going to be talking about this movie alone. I've got my friend Brevon over at Brevon's Flicks and Games, and he is going to throw his hat into the ring on this movie. So, Brevon, take it away.
Yours truly, Brevon Thompson, is back on Ryan's channel to talk about spoilers for Spider-Man No Way Home. Now, when it comes to this film, this was probably my favorite film of last year. I mean, this just gave me everything that I want in a Spider-Man film. So, I already did a spoiler-free review on my channel, so I figured that I would collaborate with Ryan on spoilers for this film. I will have a spoiler discussion on my channel pretty soon. I'm not sure when I will do that, but I will get on it soon. But there are just so many things that I definitely want to talk about because, I mean, in terms of, like, fan service, I mean, when it comes to fan service, especially in this film, I have been served. And there's just so much that a lot of people would really want to talk about when it comes to discussing this film, and some would have to worry about discussing the film without mentioning spoilers. So if you have not by any chance have seen the film, I highly recommend that you should, because this is going to be a spoiler review. So if you have not seen it, that is your warning. So first things first, one character's appearance that really surprised me in the beginning of the movie was Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock / Daredevil. That just made me so happy. Because when Daredevil was canceled on Netflix, that broke my heart, because that was like my favorite show on Netflix. And I'm just glad that they brought Charlie Cox back as Matt Murdock. They brought him in as Peter's lawyer, which I'm pretty sure a lot of people had guessed would probably happen, but I'm just really happy that they brought it into this film. I just don't know what this will probably mean, if they will either revive the Netflix series, which I really hope happens, or he'll probably appear in a future film in the MCU, but I don't know, but we'll see what happens. But nonetheless, I'm happy to see Charlie Cox back as Matt Murdock. So right after Doctor Strange casts a spell to make the world forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, it of course backfires and instead pulls in various villains who fought versions of Spider-Man from different universes. And the first that we see is Doc Ock, played once again by Alfred Molina, and he's just as good as he was in Spider-Man 2 back in 2004. And I really like the fight that he has with the MCU Spider-Man, and right when Peter removes his mask, that's when he realizes that he's not his universe's Spider-Man. And the interactions between Peter and these villains I really like, and mostly when it comes to my favorite villains in particular in this film, it's mostly Alfred Molina's Doc Ock and Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin, because they're just as good as they were in the Sam Raimi films. Green Goblin in particular was my favorite out of the villains. And I love that we get to see Norman Osborn go through this Jekyll and Hyde phase, which was similar to that great mirror scene in Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man film. And, throughout most of the film, he's in control as Norman Osborn, but right when Peter is trying to cure all of these villains, because earlier in the film, he finds out that these villains have, when they fought their versions of Spider-Man and didn't go well for them, and he finds out that their fate is to die at the hands of Spider-Man, so he wants to cure them and give them a second chance. It also leads to that great fight between Spider-Man and Doctor Strange in the mirror dimension, which I thought was a really, really great sequence. The first villain that was cured was Doc Ock, and because he makes a new inhibitor chip, so he now has full control of his tentacles instead of them controlling him. And that's when the Goblin side of Norman kicks in, and he convinces all the villains to they can make their own decisions and that they're gods among men and stuff like that. And it leads to this pretty brutal fight between the Green Goblin and Spider-Man. And in the process of all of this, Green Goblin kills Aunt May. And right before she dies, she's the one that tells Peter, with great power comes great responsibility. And I wasn't sure at first how that would work, because it's her, not Uncle Ben, telling Peter, with great power comes great responsibility. But in the case of this film, for me, I think it works really well. Now it's time to discuss what Sid and Toy Story would say, the big one. And it's, of course, the appearances of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, which made me very happy, especially Tobey Maguire's appearance, because Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man and the first two Sam Raimi movies in particular were very important to me during my childhood, and they were like those were the films that really made me a fan of the character of Spider-Man. And I really like Andrew Garfield a little bit as Spider-Man, even though I don't think his films were, like, amazing or anything. That's kind of false advertising on those movies' titles. But when it came to The Amazing Spider-Man 2, I just felt really bad for Andrew Garfield, because his series was, like, cut off, like, after 2 films. And I just felt like his story it didn't feel complete, because The Amazing Spider-Man 2 just had, like, a really sad ending. And I'm glad that they gave these 2 actors another shot to, like, probably, like, wrap up their stories in some way, but still, I mean, I was really happy to see both Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield back in this film. And when they meet up with Tom Holland's Spider-Man, he's so broken up about Aunt May's death. They come in and they tell him that they've lost somebody too. Like, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man lost Uncle Ben, and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man lost Gwen Stacy. And they, right when Peter tells them that Aunt May told him, with great power. And I love that when Tobey's Spider-Man finished the sentence, comes great responsibility. And then they begin to team up to fight against the villains. I love the interactions between all 3 Spideys, and I love that they're fascinated by the idea that Tobey's Spider-Man has organic web shooters while they have mechanical web shooters. And there's one moment in particular that I loved, which really made me laugh. Outside of, like, the interactions and them discussing, like, Tobey's organic web shooters, and how, like, I mean, the craziest types of villains that they fought. One moment in particular that made me laugh was Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man popping Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man's back. That they brought back Tobey Maguire's back problems in Spider-Man 2. I'm just like, I can't believe I'm seeing this. It just... oh my god. I love this movie. So all 3 Spideys team up to fight against the villains, and I love that Doc Ock even shows up and helps them against Electro. And right when Doctor Strange is trying to, like, cast a new spell, that's when the Green Goblin shows up and then starts wreaking havoc. And right when all this is happening, it looks like MJ is about to fall to her death, just like we saw in the trailer. And right when Tom Holland's Spider-Man tries to catch her, the Goblin, like, swoops up and catches that Spidey. And I love that Andrew Garfield Spider-Man saves MJ instead, and gives him a little bit of a moment of redemption, because he failed to save Gwen Stacy in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. And I love that him saving MJ gave him a moment of redemption. And when it comes to Andrew Garfield in particular in this film, he is phenomenal in this film. And I've seen, like, a lot of people campaigning to, like, for Sony to, like, go back to his series and make a 3rd film. And honestly, at this point, I would be on board with that. He was amazing in this film, and I really want Sony to go back to Garfield's series and make a 3rd movie. Just go for it. Just make it make it better than the first two movies, because if they did make a third one, I would see that in a heartbeat. So right after Tom Holland's Spider-Man beats the shit out of Green Goblin and gives him his cure, Doctor Strange is trying to prevent like other Spider-Man villains from different universes from coming into theirs. And Tom Holland, Spider-Man, gives him an idea to like make another spell to make everyone forget about Peter Parker being Spider-Man. But there would be a consequence. Like anybody that knew Peter before would have no idea of like who he was before. And he says his goodbyes to Doctor Strange, the two Spideys, and Ned and MJ right before Doctor Strange casts the spell. And he tries to later try to reconnect with Ned and MJ, but decides at the last minute not to do so, most likely for their safety. And the ending with him swinging around New York and a actual red and blue comic looking suit, that is an ending. And the mid-credit scene shows Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock being transported to his universe while leaving a small portion of the symbiote in the MCU. So I'm wondering if they make a fourth film, what will it focus on, Peter getting the black suit and becoming the black suit Spider-Man? Or will they bring Tom Hardy's Venom back? I don't know. We'll see. And the post-credit scene is basically a trailer for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which I'm really looking forward to checking out. Sam Raimi's making another Marvel film, and I really cannot wait to see what he does. And, yeah. This film just gave me everything that I want for a great Spider-Man film. This is easily my favorite Spider-Man film, probably since Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2. And Ryan, I just want to say thank you for having me here again on your channel to talk about spoilers for Spider-Man No Way Home. And guys, thank you so much as always for watching. Looking forward to doing more videos really soon. And if you want my thoughts on old or new films, of course, you know where to find me.
This movie is not just great because it has a lot of fan-servicing moments. Despite everything that happens, despite every villain that shows up. My favorite part about this movie is that despite all of that, it's a Spider-Man story. It squarely focuses on Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I love that. I love the spirit of that. My Spider-Man optimism is now at an all-time high, now that the MCU pretty much doesn't know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man thanks to Doctor Strange's spell, if you will. So the door is open for endless possibilities. Andrew Garfield wants to return, Tobey Maguire wants to return. I say capitalize, make the Spider-Man 4, make the Amazing Spider-Man 3, and continue on with Holland's Spider-Man. If Into the Spider-Verse can do it, why not the live-action movies? And the second reason why this movie has become my favorite Spider-Man movie is just for the reason being that this movie made so many people so friggin' happy. Both times that I saw this movie, it was in a packed theater. There was not a seat to be found. And this movie just is indescribable, the experience of it. Everyone was electric for everything. Every bit of action, every funny line. When Green Goblin said, I'm something of a scientist myself. When all three Spider-Men pointed at each other, recreating the Spider-Man meme. Every single second this movie was playing, everyone was electric for everything. It was beautiful. This movie has the ability to bring people together. It's a cliche in the news nowadays. You see everyone we're more divided now than ever. What can we do to bring people together? Spider-Man No Way Home can bring people together, that's what. I noted in my spoiler-free review that I got a little emotional over how, when I saw this for the first time, I was alone in just a theater packed full of groups. Groups of 2 or 3, a teenager and their friends, and several girlfriends, and couples going together, and families taking their families of 2 or 3 kids to go and see this. People are always movies are too expensive, but I always go on the logic of if you build it, they will come. Spider-Man No Way Home was built, and the people came, if the box office totals have shown anything. This is one of my favorite movies to have ever seen in a theater. I know that's a bit broad and a bit bold, but I am sticking to it. So what I would like to have right now is for you to post your theater experience of Spider-Man No Way Home in the comments. I would love to read what you all have to say. And if you like this video, please be sure to leave a like, and if you want to see more videos like this, hit the subscribe button and click the bell to allow notifications. That way when a new video drops, you'll be the first to know about it. My name is Ryan Cam, and I'll see you in the next one.